Hello and welcome to Paxton Road TV. This is a Paxton Road TV special and we are discussing our potential 99% or 99.9% confirmed manager, Paulo Fonseca. And I'm joined today by some super special guests in the house, Mike-Hotspur Hustler, Darius3k, Sid Spurs. We also, Shy, Tottenham Away, the Irish Hotspur, and Kieran from Let's Talk Spurs. So, gentlemen, before we start, like, subscribe, share, comment, please, if you can. Ensure you share this comment around. We can't do this without you. Please like as well. Put some comments in the comment section and we'll try and get all your comments up on screen where possible. This could be a good one. This could be very, very, very interesting. Anyway, let's get into this. I'll just talk about this Paulo Fonseca. Before, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I'd heard the name, didn't know much about him. We were talking about Conte, we were talking about Poch, we were talking about Ten Hag. I'm glad we're no longer talking about people like Graham Potter and bloody, who else is it? Roberto Martinez. However, they may come back into the picture depending on how this deal goes. But we are primed now for a new manager. Our new manager potentially, as I said, 99% certain. If you look at the betting, if you look at all the talk that's going around, is likely to be the ex-Roma manager, Paulo Fonseca. And it appears now we've just done a swap deal with Roma. We've given them Jose and we've taken on their manager. What is this all about? And I'm going to come. Firstly, I like to start with Mike, but I'm not going to do that because, Mike, I don't want to put you in that spotlight first. I'm going to come to Darius first. Is this an inspired choice or is this a desperate move on Spurs' behalf? You start the rolling ball. Go ahead.
It's definitely not inspired. I think we can all agree on that one. It's definitely not inspired. But is it the worst choice? No. Is it a good choice? I don't know. And that's the problem. I don't know what to expect from Paulo Fonseca. You can do as much research as you like. You can watch as many videos as you like on his style of play, what he's going to do. You know that he's a possession-based man. He likes to play 4 at the back. He did play 3 at the back last year at Roma, but that's because Roma were absolutely awful. Their squad was awful. Their injury look was awful. So he kind of had to adapt. But for me, it's just kind of taking a stab in the unknown and hearing that he's not bringing his staff along and there's certain things that he kind of has to. I've heard The Guardian said something like he has to sort of deal within the realms of the squad that are currently there. It's like these things don't really sound promising to me, but I have to admit the way that Paratici's approach this is what gives me a little bit of promise and makes me think, okay, maybe this could be okay, because I mean, 50 days before we couldn't find a manager, we couldn't make our minds up. As soon as he comes in, he chooses a target, and that target seems to be on his way here. So there's positives and negatives. I think the football side of things, the way he plays will be a definite positive. I think he definitely likes to play with possession. He likes to attack. He really doesn't like defending as the main thing. But again, you take from that what you want. That might mean that we might play very naive and the big teams who are slightly more pragmatic might break us down and pick us apart. So you have to look at it from what you want from the club, what you want from the football you see, and then there'll be positives and negatives. But for me, I'm not too angry, but at the same time, it's not inspiring, like you said. So I'm kind of just waiting to see. I'm not going to make any judgments yet. I'm going to wait to see after the transfers, after maybe the first few games, and then you can really see what Tottenham are going to be like next season.
Cool. I'm going to go downstairs. So I'm going to go downstairs and upstairs, and I'm going to get all your thoughts. So I'm going to come down to the Irish Hotspur. I can see his deadpan face there. I know what's coming next. But anyway, I'm going to let him say what he wants to say. Mr. Irish Hotspur, is this an inspired choice, or is this a desperate move on Spurs' behalf? Or indeed, is it something else?
No, look, you can cut out that inspired choice. It's not one of them anyway. It stinks of desperation. Look, the only reason why this guy is coming in is because he's going to do what Daniel Levy wants him to do. He's another yes man. He's not bringing any staff. It's the cheapest deal possible on the market. He was like 6th or 7th choice on the list. Look, people can sit here and say, that it's Paratici's move. Paratici was only brought in as well to exploit the free market like he did at Juve. Okay, people can sit here and say that's a great thing, but it's not. We don't pay the wages that Juve pay. We don't have the pull that Juve have. So all in all, I just don't see this working out. The rebuild is going to be done on a lot of free players, exploiting the market where you have players with 1 year left on the contract, this, that, and the other. But I just can't see it working out the way the way some fans are envisaging. Because, like I said, we don't have the pull that Juve had. We don't have the we don't pay the wages and the money that Juve do. Back to Francesco or Fonseca or Fondley, whatever you want to call him. Look, the guy, I'm not being funny, right? As soon as I seen the name, I had to Google him. And when you have to Google a manager, it's never, ever a good sign. Never a good sign. And for me, I'm definitely not inspired by him. Look, people can go on, look, even the fan base is Spursy right now because, no one knows about him, right? But then everyone's there putting out the latest thing to try and convince each other on this guy. That's just Spursy down to the core. We had Conte sitting at the table. You give the man what he wants. When you have someone like that coming to the table, when you're in Europa Conference League, you give the man what he wants and let him go and do the rebuild. Everything that's happening right now is just screaming that, Daniel Levy has his next fall guy in place with Paratici. If it doesn't work, if Fonseca doesn't work out, Paratici will take the fall instead of Daniel Levy. And I know people are sick of hearing this, but it's not this isn't going to work out as good as people think it is. I really don't think so. I do think, that ultimately within a year we're going to be rebuilding the structure. If this guy is the answer and the board truly believe him and Paratici truly believe in him, why is he only getting a 2-year contract? My thinking is that maybe the 2-year contract is to buy time until Poch has finished at PSG. That's my thinking on it. But honestly, it's not inspiring whatsoever. Famous words from Danny Rose. We're starting to bring in people that we have to Google. It was there 2 years ago. Danny Rose was telling us, and now we're getting a manager that nobody, look, maybe there's a few in the footballing, but honestly, a lot of people had to Google him, and they're sitting there jacking off over this guy because he has a fancy foreign name. He wears a Zorro mask, and he wears skinny jeans, and that's why people are all over this guy. Honestly, it's a joke. It's a joke. Daniel Levy has pulled a massive trick here. He's pulled the best magic trick. He went to Harry Potter, spoke to him, got inspired, and says, right, this is the trick I'm going to pull off. And it's worked. It's worked. We're all up. We're like, the reason why it's worked is because we've been waiting so long for a manager. Honestly, you could put me in charge and the fan base would have been in uproar. They would have been loving it, screaming the Irish Hotspur. You know what I mean? That's how desperate it was getting. But trust me, I really don't believe in this guy. I don't think he's the answer. And I'm going to go strong on this. I think 2 months into the season, I think we could be looking for a new manager. I really do think it could be that bad. People can sit here and say, oh yeah, like I've seen one tweet, right? We can win 3-0 or lose 5-0. I'm excited. I'm sitting there, how can you be excited losing 5-0? The thing is, it's all well and good this guy coming in and playing this attacking football. We don't have the defence to play it, and people need to wake up to this. When you have as bad as defence as we do, and you don't improve it the way we haven't done, the first and foremost thing you have to do is protect your back line and just build from there. You know what I mean? And for me, I can't see this working out. I really can't. I envisage a Philip Cook coming into Palace there where, he wanted to play this possession-based football. It just didn't work. He was gone within 2 months. I'm really uninspired by it, and I'm really pissed off. I was away for 2 days in the most beautiful surroundings, between mountains, sitting there getting fucked up with the old lad, and then this news breaks. And I honestly, it just wrecked. It just ruined my breakaway. It ruined it. I went away to get away from everything, and then this shit happens, and it's just totally uninspiring. And it honestly, I think it's going to end bad.
Wow. Very good opening. Just in case you're all watching out there, this is not just the comedy channel or the horror show. It is actually Paxton Road TV, but very passionate there from Dave. And we've got
Can I just add to that quickly? Yes, I just want to say, sorry, quickly, that, look, if he is appointed, which it looks like he's going to, I will back the manager. I will back him like I do every manager. I'd have to get behind him. As much as it kills me, I'll have to get behind him. I will back him. And I hope it goes right. I want to be sitting here having to hold my hands up 2 months in. You know what I mean? That we've won every game. I want to be sitting here holding my hands up. I hope it goes right. It's just not inspiring for me.
Yeah, I'm just going to say my little bit because I want you guys to say a bit more. As I said, I'm kind of, there's some points in there that I do agree with. It's a manager that I'd not really heard of before. I kind of heard the name. Didn't even know what he'd done before, Roma. I had to look. Oh, Shakhtar Donetsk, didn't even know that. So it is the kind of choice that we kind of maybe linked towards Poch when he was at Southampton. Even when Poch was at Southampton, he had Premier League experience, so you could kind of see what he was doing. This guy, not in the Premier League, being in the Ukraine League, and I'll put up some of his record in a minute, but he's not I don't know if he was the first choice. Obviously, Paratici's come in, and there's all kinds of rumours that he was looking at this guy and he's been looking at him for a while. Blah, blah. I don't know. It could be all smoke and mirrors. It's what the football does, what he brings in. And as I said before, the most important thing is, we've got a director of football and he needs to make those decisions. But now what's the philosophy? How is this guy going to play? I've seen him say we've gone to a 3-4-3 and he can play out from the back using the keeper. We haven't got a keeper, in my opinion, that can play out from the back. So it's going to be very important to see who he brings in. So again, I'm with you on this fact. I'm going to be behind this manager, but I'd like to see a little bit more from Spurs in terms of, right, this is what we're doing. This is why we brought this guy in, because he plays this type of football. Now we're going to supplement that with these type of players. I don't know if any of that's going to come out, whether or not it's going to be ending like a Philip Cocu in 2 months, or it's going to be an inspired choice. Time will tell. So, Sid, I'll come back upstairs to you next. What's your thought? An inspired choice, or is this a disaster waiting to happen?
I don't think it's a disaster waiting to happen, but like Mr. Irish Hotspur says, it could end up being one of them.
Oh, Mr. Irish Hotspur now. Wow, he's gone up in the world. Listen to this.
It's the first time I'm meeting him, so you can always address people with Mr. first.
Sorry about that. Go on. Sorry, Sid.
It's like you said, I don't know if Danny Rosie's Googled him yet, so unless Danny confirms he had to Google him, then we can believe that no one's heard of him. But it's one of them, innit? It's the unexpected. Everyone's expecting miracles, but we're never going to get miracles at Tottenham Hotspur. He's probably was Paratici's second, third choice, but if Paratici's just come in and said straight away that this is the guy that I want, then we've got to go by him. Paratici obviously has been at Juventus. He knows his managers. He knows how to, his philosophy and whatever. So he must have had him in mind. And you've got to give him credit and you've got to give him time to let his decision not ponder, but just let it happen and see what happens. In terms of the contract situation and the coaching, right? He's got 2-year contract with an extension to a third. Conte was given the same. The only difference I'm thinking is Conte wanted to bring his backroom staff. This guy's not bringing anyone. And if you believe what social media said yesterday, he's got rid of all his backroom staff because he wasn't happy with the defending and whatever last year. So he's just got rid of them all and he wants to bring in a new contingent. And I don't know who he's going to have. And that's going to be a problem because it's not just
Mason
the manager.
And Ledley King are in there.
Yeah. Well,
he was raging about the injuries that he suffered last season.
Yeah.
I think that's what stemmed with culling his backroom staff.
Exactly. So
whether you believe that or not.
If Mason's staying there, then we got problems. Ledley King, okay, legend at Tottenham, but again, he needs his own people, and he needs people that are going to know what we need. Because half that team, if he's got rid of the money, his coaching staff because they were crap last season, then has he not looked at our defense? Because he's probably thinking, hold on, I'm just jumped out of a frying pan. I'm now going straight into the fire.
This is exactly my point, Sid, about the defence. Because if he's going to think he's going to be playing out from the back with our defence, we've got a long season ahead of us. Because, as I said, Hugo Lloris can't kick for toffee in terms of playing out for the defence. So
exactly. And the other thing as well is being Italian. I think the main reason they brought an Italian in is because we're sponsored by Hugo Boss, and Hugo Boss said we need some Italian boys to model our suits because all the players that we've got is shite. So we need some models.
Wow, we are really going for the Comedy Channel Awards here. We might win one off this bloody show today, I tell you what.
Time will
what
tell.
do you expect when you get a name like Fonseca, though, to be fair?
Very true. Very, very true. Well, talking of Fonseca, let's come to Fonseca's older brother, as he's the Fonz. And
Younger brother, you mean? Younger brother.
Sorry. I apologise, Shy. Younger brother, because you look a lot younger than he. But you did say
younger looking brother, anyway.
Younger looking brother.
I think he's only 40 something, so I am actually a lot older than him. But anyway.
I'll come to Shy. What's your thoughts on this potential appointment?
Listen, I ain't gonna diss my family, man. That's not happening. I can't diss my family. No. And listen, I apologise to anyone that's heard me talk the last couple of days about this already, because you probably heard what I've said. Listen, the common word that's been coming out has been underwhelming, and I can't disagree with that. When you look at the names that were presented before us the last few weeks in terms of Poch and Conte and even Ten Hag, And then you hear a name like this that most people haven't really heard of. So, you know, it's going to be disappointing, and the reaction from everybody is understandable. What I will say is I'm going to give these guys a chance. I think you have to. If that's the cards who've been dealt at the end of the day, I think we have to try and support them and hope they do well for us. That's the best thing I can say about it. I mean, yeah, I have been watching videos. I don't know if you guys have watched that 35-minute kind of documentary on him at Shakhtar. I thought that was quite an interesting look at him. If you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out on YouTube. I guess he fits the profile in a way in terms of what Daniel Levy asked for, the actual statement he put at the end of the season in terms of attack-minded, possession-based manager. He seems to fit that criteria. But listen, it doesn't matter. When it comes to transfers or managers or whoever, anybody's a risk at the end of the day. They could work, they could not work. So, you know, we'll see. Time will tell. Like David said, he could be out in 2 months. He could be out by Christmas. We don't know. He's got a lot to prove to a lot of Spurs fans very, very quickly because we haven't got patience. and we shouldn't have patience because, let's be honest, how long have we been waiting? How long have we been waiting for anything? Yeah, so Spurs fans don't have patience, so he's going to have to really hit the ground running, to be honest with you, and whether he does or not. Again, he's got to be backed in the transfer market. I mean, it was good to see Ali Gold putting out there yesterday that apparently already a lot of Spurs players been put up for sale and they've been asked, their agents.
Do we know who they are?
No, names haven't been mentioned.
I tried looking and I was like, I couldn't see anything.
Apparently,
no names have been mentioned. But,
there's a report apparently that REA's agreed terms with PSG at the moment.
Yeah, I saw that today actually, Kieran. Yeah, I did see that today. So that's, you know, that I would say that would be a positive if this is really happening and getting rid of those players. It's got to be the first thing, isn't it? It's the first port of call, getting rid of the dead wood. You know, bringing through some of the academy, bringing your skips back and stuff like that. And then adding to it with some transfers that is going to suit the system he wants to play. Yeah, this has to fit together. This has to fit. There's no point the club buying players that are not going to fit into his system. You know, they've all got to work together on the same, be on the same hymn sheet for it to work. So, yeah, the best thing I can say is got to give these guys a chance because, you know, this is what the cards were being dealt, and we just got to go with it for now and hope for the best. But there's no guarantees, like Darius said earlier, like David said, there's no guarantees. But we support them particularly to get us going.
Yeah, this hoping for the best. This is what I'm a bit. We should be planning for the best, not hoping for the best. We should be planning for the best. Kieran, I will get your thoughts in a minute. I just want to come to Mike in terms of this opening kind of question. Mike, what's your thoughts in terms of this potential appointment? Disaster or inspirational move from Paratici and Mr. Levy?
Certainly not inspirational. I would say, it's like everyone else has echoed, and I'll echo it. It is massively underwhelming. There's no doubts about that. As David's mentioned, most of us probably.
You there? Oh, you're on. It's gone. It's gone. If you can get it back, Mike, we'll listen back to you. But we'll come back to you in a minute. And so, Kieran, whilst Mike is sorting out his microphone, play on words there. Like that? You like that, didn't you? I tell you what, today I'm putting us up for some awards because I like that myself. Even I like that one. Mike's up on his microphone. Kieran, sorry for that. Going to come to you next. What's your thoughts on the matter?
Look, I think like everyone else has said, it sounds a bit uninspired, but I think the reason it sounds so uninspiring is because we've gone from Ten Hag to Poch to then Conte, which is like the pinnacle of managers. And then we're going to a manager where a lot of our fan base going, hang a second, who's this? And having to Google them. So you're going from like a manager that everyone knows, everyone wanted, everyone was pushing for it, to a manager that half the fan base is now trying to Google. So I think it is a bit underwhelming in that sense. I think, to be honest, whatever manager that came in, it was going to be a hard job either way. I think even if Conte came in, I don't think we would have turned around and won the league or anything. We may have won a trophy in our first season, but I don't think, we would have won the league like some people were suggesting. yeah, look, I don't know. For me, 2-year contract. He plays a little bit more similarly to, I suppose, Pochettino's game style. I'm not saying that I want Pochettino in 2 years' time, but I'm saying if we try to point him this window and that was genuine, maybe this is just a thing of get someone in who fit the profile of playing a lot more like his game style, and then at the end of the 2 years, bring Pochettino in. There is an optional third year, apparently, in that Fonseca contract. So maybe it's a thing of if we can't get Poch in 2 years, we extend that for another year if he's doing well or something. I don't know. But
so do you really believe this is all geared towards getting Poch back? Do you think this is almost like a stopgap in terms of not being able to get Poch in now?
You could see that point of view. You could see that point of view, definitely.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think it's a mix. I think it's one of those. Everyone loved Poch's football, on the front foot, right, all the time. And I think now that's why they're trying to bring in someone who's going to put a similar style forward. So at least we're happy with what we're seeing on the pitch. Like Mourinho, it was a case of if we won a game, it was either, yeah, we're happy we won, or Jesus Christ, we've sat on the back foot for the last 20 minutes defending a 1-goal lead, and it's a bit boring. So I think they're just trying to appease us with what we're seeing on the pitch. And then in 2 years' time, if we can get Pochettino, at least we've got a team that is playing similarly to that already, that it's not like going from Pochettino to Mourinho and it's a completely different style or system that we're trying to play.
Yeah, I you know what? The more I think about it, if they are using this guy as a bit of a filler because they can't get the person that they want, it could be a bit of a choice. But like David was saying, this could go pear-shaped in a few months. Then what do we do? You know what I mean? If it goes pear-shaped within 6 to 9 months, then we're in a bit of a pickle. It's likely that we're going to send out the SOS again for Ryan Mason, which is not going to inspire me. If we do that again, then it really will be done. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Mike, you there? Oh, he's not there. Mic check.
Mike's not there.
It's not happening at the moment with Mike.
Oh.
No, we can't hear you, mate.
Write it down on a piece of paper and just put it to the screen.
Right. Put it up there like this. You know what I mean?
I'll sit there and smile for all the females watching that.
But the show must go on. The show must go on. We must continue onwards. I'm going to put this bit of detail up here in terms of Mr. Fonseca's record. As I said, some of these names, they're all mostly from that. I don't even know how to pronounce some of this. Dezembro or develop. I'm going to try and even do it in Portuguese to make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. Pino Rodavides or whatever that's called. These teams are from Portugal from way back when. I have no idea.
Take a bow, lad. You impressed me.
The only ones I know about really here are Braga, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Roma. And if we go from those records, it appears he doesn't. And Porto. Sorry, and Porto. I must apologise. There's Porto in there as well. But if you look at the record at Porto, you look at the record at Braga, he didn't stay there very long. He spent 3 years at Shakhtar Donetsk and won everything at Shakhtar Donetsk pretty much. Let me just take off this bottom banner so we can see what his actual honours were. So 3 times in a row in terms of the Ukrainian League, Cup, Super Cup at Shakhtar. And in Roma...
He's done the double, three years in a row.
Correct.
He's done the double.
Correct. But saying that, who else is in bloody Ukraine Premier League? You
Kiev,
tell me some other team.
Dynamo Kiev, Dynamo Rostov, I think maybe.
Well, Dynamo who?
I'm just trying to name teams now.
Dynamo the Magician.
Dynamo the Magician. There we go. This is the sort of teams he's won bloody 3 times in a row. He's done this, a double. And he's been playing against Dynamo the Magician, Dynamo Rostov. Who else is there in the Ukraine League? Come on. So we got to take that with a bit of a pinch of salt. His Roma record, again, is pretty decent. But, he doesn't seem to be one of them managers that's a long-term project. So this kind of maybe ties in with some of the smoke and mirrors, the kind of like mystique that we might be looking to put him in as a stopgap. I don't know. What's your thoughts on this actual record? Is this something we can work with? Do we have to look at his Roma record and think, he's a person for a filler?
I think context is needed.
Yeah, can I just actually put a bit of context into Shakhtar? Because the one thing that when I first looked at it, I was like, it doesn't really say much. Like, it's the Ukrainian Premier League and the Ukrainian Cup. But prior to him actually going to Shakhtar, I think it was like they hadn't won the league for like the previous 2 years, and they hadn't won like the cup in a certain amount of years. He came in, won the double in all 3 years. Yeah, it was like the last 3. Since he's left, I think it was like they haven't won the Ukrainian Cup like since either. So it's like they hadn't won any of those leagues or competitions for like 2 to 3 years before he came in. They've come and won it all 3 years he's there on the double. And then since he's left, they've been unable to win the cup since. So I'm not saying that, oh my God, he's going to do wonders at Tottenham just because of that. But I think maybe that puts a little bit of like perspective on what he's done at Shakhtar in a sense.
There's also if you look at the sorry Sam, if you go back on that overlay, if you don't mind, I can't remember how to pronounce that name. It's Pacos de Ferreira. If you actually, he actually got them to a third place.
It's all good. It's all
good. Of course, but he got them to a third. I think he got them to third place or a Champions League spot, and they were nowhere near the Champions League places when he was managing. And then also with Roma, and it's difficult to say because the Roma board really butchered that squad, and Monchi, who was there before Fonseca joined as a sporting director, butchered that squad and literally increased the age of that squad to a position where a guy who wants to press intensely, attack for the majority of the game is not going to be able to get that out of players like Edin Dzeko, players like Pedro, who came in and did okay, Mkhitaryan, who's done very well this season, but they're all in their 30s plus. And I think that Zaniolo getting injured at the very start of this season is going to affect any manager when you lose your best player, your best attacking player. I think he lost a lot of important players this season, and yeah, they were doing really well at the start of the season and they finished 7th, but there's a lot of context that is needed. My only problem is if he comes into this team, Tottenham, and he's given the players and he's given, do you know what I mean, a system, and he develops a system that we can play in, is it going to be a case of us not giving him enough time to sort of deploy those tactics because he's only on a 2-year deal? Or is he just not going to be able to, do you know what I mean, get those results in the Premier League because the leagues are so different. They're so much different.
Do we not need to just have a bit of, I say, and we have probably the most patience out of all the football, out of all football supporters within this country. But given the state of where we are as a club, is there not an element of us needing to give a bit of patience towards Fonseca and just see what he is about, and just, I suppose, lower our expectations to a certain degree, because the club's it's in, I say, turmoil. It is to a certain degree, but if we had a little bit of patience and just, I suppose, just see what, I mean, pre-season will probably tell us a lot of stuff that we want to know. I.e.,
the transfers will be a big teller.
About the philosophy, about the transfers, who he keeps in, who he gets out. I think this pre-season is going to be massive for Tottenham.
Just to answer you there, Mike, we didn't build the stadium and the training complex to be giving nobody's a chance. We didn't do that for that. You know, we built the training complex and the stadium to have the very best of the best here. That's what we were told we were getting it for. Not to be giving Fonseca a chance. And just on what Darius was saying, you know, you could say the same about Mourinho. You could say the same about Mourinho's time at Tottenham, or say the same about any manager's time. Like at Tottenham, Mourinho lost for Tongan. Christian Eriksen, he also had a lot of injuries to deal with throughout the season. You know what I mean? So that for me, that just seems like it's making excuses for the guy. You know, if like we can all sit here and say, "Oh, let's put it into context." But where was that under Mourinho? Where was that under
Mourinho? Wasn't playing
other managers previously that we have? You can say the same for any manager, any great manager.
I can't agree with the Mourinho thing, because Mourinho wasn't playing to the team's strengths, and he was at one point he was literally. And you mentioned something earlier, David, and you make a fair point about obviously the defense, being defensive with a bad defense isn't going to, I mean, being attacking with a bad defense isn't going to work. But at the same time, being defensive with a bad defense is probably just as worse. Because like I said earlier, when Mourinho's allowing a team like us with Dyer and Sanchez at the back to concede 15, 20 shots a game, I don't know what he's expecting to happen. So for me...
I know, but the same happened when Mason came in. You know, we went to play this expansive football. We got slapped by leagues.
Mason had no idea what he was doing. Again, I don't think he was playing to the strengths of the team, because he was benching players who shouldn't have been benching, playing players who shouldn't have played. So
Jose Mourinho went attacking against Everton. We got slapped 5-4. This is the thing. This manager can come in and play the attacking style he wants. We're shedding goals at the back. We're going to leak goals at the back, and this is going to be the problem. Like, we can all sit here as Spurs fans and demand this attacking football, but we should sit here looking at the club and demanding what's best for what's right now. And Fonseca is not the best option for right now. We don't have the players to go and play his high pressing style. You think Harry Winks is going to be doing all the pressing and everything else? Ben Davies, Eric Dyer,
but Conte would have worked.
All these sort of players. You're not like, it's not going to, like, we can all have this fantasy and this idea about how this guy plays. Again, we don't have the players.
But isn't Conte fantasy as well, though? That my thing. Obviously, Conte got me excited, and I was very. Conte is, in my opinion, top 3 managers in the world at the moment. I got very excited, but maybe I got too ahead of myself, because again, we all say that the board are the reason why we've bought in Fonseca, and the board are the reason why we're not going to get anywhere further. But with Conte demands so much that I would never ever expect Daniel Levy to ever give Conte what he needs to do well. So for me, if you're going to give Conte 17 million euros a year and not actually give him the tools to actually succeed, that's even worse than giving a guy like Fonseca a 2-year contract who's on maybe 3 or 4 million euros. I know that's not the right
He's
mentality.
going to use that 70 million a lot. I'd rather trust Conte with that 70 million than Fonseca.
I know, yeah, 100%. But the thing is with Conte is it could have gone up in flames just as worse if he didn't get what he wanted, because he literally left the winning team because he didn't get what he wanted, and that's my fear, and that's why I just believe that it's not that Fonseca's the right deal. And my anger with Fonseca comes with, if you're willing to spend 17 million a year on Fonseca, why not pay a compensation fee to Ten Hag and Ajax?
Is that how much
get
we're
him
looking
out
to pay Fonseca for 17
million? No, sorry, Conte. Sorry. So Conte wanted more than 15 million, which is what Jose was on. If you're willing to pay more than 50 million euros a year for Conte, either go and get him or use that money that you were going to get for Conte to go and get Ten Hag and spend that money on the compensation fee in the contract.
But the point of that as well is...
Sorry, Mike, just before I come to that. The reason for Conte, though, Conte has already demanded what he... If you read and go by the press, he says if he comes in, he's going to want this amount of money per year, but he's going to need to have X amount of millions to rebuild that squad. My problem at the moment is if Fonseca comes in and he's been told, well, you haven't really got much money, those players cannot play that 3-4-3 system playing out from the back. I am telling you now, Hugo Lloris does not have the capabilities of playing out from the back with his feet. Moon boots, as David has labelled him, I do not believe he's the player that's going to be part of that back 3. Sanchez, number 6, whatever you want to call him, no chance on earth is he going to be. The only
that's where you've got Rodon and Toby.
But we can't rely on one. You can't play in the back 3 of one player. That's what I'm saying. We're going to need to have more than that.
Fonseca, he often has one of his centre midfielders will drop into that back 3 to dictate the play, which is I haven't seen this. But this is what I've been going by on the research. So he quite often, which would be if it was at Tottenham, it would be Højbjerg. Højbjerg will drop into that back 3 alongside Rodon and Toby and dictate play from out the back. And we use the keeper. I know Lloris says his distribution is not great, but again, going by research,
with Lloris, we can't do it with Lloris.
But going by research, Fonseca likes his goalkeeper to come into that as a quartet. But
exactly,
again,
I've seen Lloris play.
We all say it's transfers. Any manager that came in needs to have a freshen of the squad. So at the end of the day, I need to see what's going on in this market in the transfer window before I can. If nothing happens in this transfer window, I'm joining you 100%. I don't care.
The thing is, right? It's rebuilding the squad, but doing it with ambition, right? We're like I've said this many times on many channels. We're going down the exact same route Arsenal went down, right? They got Unai Emery in, didn't have the patience, didn't back him, sacked him. We got Jose in, didn't have the patience, didn't back him, sacked him. They got Mikel Arteta. We're now getting Paulo Fonseca. This is the problem. We're gone exactly down the route Arsenal have, but they're They're about 4 or 5 years advancing to that, and they're now just outside of Europe.
And they've
we're 2 years, 3 years into it. Imagine where we're going to be in another 4 or 5 years' time. The thing is, there is no way of sorting this without throwing money at it. You're competing with City, United, Chelsea, Liverpool. We're all going to spend massive again this summer. We ain't doing this on the cheap. It's about time we start rolling with the fucking big boys here. We need to start rolling with the big boys. Or even just start doing your recruitment wiser. Just start doing your recruitment better and then have the best manager in to take that forward. It's about ambition.
I agree. I was going to come to Shai for his comments. Sorry, Mike. I just want to come to Shai because I know you had your hand up before. Patiently waiting, and you've got to sometimes patiently wait on this show. But what's your thoughts on some of the things we've been talking about?
No, well, it's hard to deny. Everyone's got their point of view, and you can't really disagree with a lot that's been said. I can only say go back to we've made a decision in bringing Paratici, by the way it's pronounced. So I've been told by an Italian person called
Really?
Iggy on our channel. It's Paratici,
Wow.
so we
Wow.
have to pronounce it correctly. That's the way.
I
it's
apologise to
pronounced.
the Italians out there.
So you can apologise to Iggy. That's all, because Iggy gets quite a thing about that. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is his first decision he's had to make, even though we still don't know that he's been employed by the club officially. But this is his first big decision that he's had to make. So you would like to think, if this is your biggest first decision in your job after, leaving Juventus after so many years, surely you're going to do your best to make the first decision right. Yeah? You're not going to blow up in your first big decision you're going to have to make for the club. So I'd like to think this, even though it wasn't first choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice, it's a choice that is going to try and help us. Yeah? That's all I'm going to say on that.
Go on, Mike.
I was just going to say, we all seem to be concentrating on the negatives, which I completely get, because it is an underwhelming. It's potentially an underwhelming signing as Spurs bringing in a manager, but for all we know, he could be great in the job. He could be what we needed, and I know I'm probably speaking from a point where I'm trying to be optimistic about the this potential sort of signing of Fonseca, but isn't that what Tottenham Hotspurs are all about? Being optimistic and sort of hoping for the best. I know we all get ourselves bigged up and we're like, oh yeah, Tottenham going to do great, and then we set ourselves up for failure. But it just, I don't know. I just don't like to see a manager being written off before he's actually been given a chance. And
Fonseca, the blame has to go on the board for those links to those big managers, though, don't you think?
I get that. I don't disagree with it, but I'm just thinking on the basis of, with the expectations and where we are as a club right now, if we lowered them, just being realistic, if we just lowered our expectations and just be like, well, let's just see what happens. Worst case scenario is we're proven right, and Fonseca's just a waste of time, waste of 2 years, and we have to get rid of him.
I do agree. I do agree. The time thing is what we have to do. But have we got that time to give him? Because like David was saying, it could be within 2 or 3 months. I just want to come to Kieran and just ask a quick question. What is his style of play? What do you think is directly going to mean for the players that are there? I'm not talking about who we're going to potentially sign, but if we didn't sign any really massive players during the summer, given the fact that we're not going to be spending hundreds of millions this summer in the transfer window, what does it mean, his style of play, for some of the players that are currently... Can you see us being able to play the way he wants us to play, given the substandard performances we saw last season?
So this is what I was going to jump on when everyone was, talking about, him and the players we have. The way I see this playing out is like Pochettino's first season with us, where it's just, we got players who just do not kind of fit that system, and the end of that first season is realistically going to be whatever deadwood is left and bringing the players that do. I know we're sitting here saying that we need to clear out the deadwood now, but when we're talking like 8-9 players, maybe more, that we got to clear out, I don't see every single one of them being gone this transfer window, because it doesn't look like they're flying out the door at the moment. So who are we going to get that's going to come in and buy this deadwood? So it might take another season to get rid of all of it. Look, for me, I don't think his play style is going to work straight away. The big thing I would say, though, is what manager, if we're not willing to spend in this transfer market to actually rebuild the way we're saying we need to and buy players in the back line who are going to strengthen us at the back, then what would bringing Conte have done anyway? He would have come in, then we're not going to spend the money on him anyway. And what I will say is... Yeah, exactly. And what I will say is, with Fonseca, is Erik ten Hag, as soon as we'd had that call with him and then he extended his deal with Ajax, did he not come out and say he knows where he is in his career and he's happy at Ajax? So it doesn't look like he's on the board. Conte,
the stream is getting a little bit pear-shaped at the moment. If you're still
right.
here.
Yeah, I'm still here.
I can hear him.
Yeah, sorry. So look, Erik ten Hag, not on the table realistically anymore. Pochettino is not on the table. And Conte looks like it's definitely table. After talks, we've already butchered that, so it's kind of a thing of, who would we bring in? Who genuinely, what top class manager could we bring in at the moment? that we haven't either butchered
Kieran, I know you
The
say
problem
that.
with the top
I know you
class
say that, but we
managers-
had Conte at the negotiation table. We could
Yeah, but
have
we don't
brought him in.
anymore.
This is the thing.
But we don't anymore, and that's what I'm saying. So
No, we
can
don't
say,
anymore.
like,
But
we
you're saying
could've.
what manager realistically could we have appointed? We had one
I'm
of them
saying
at
what?
the
I'm
negotiation
saying
table. This
I'm
is
not
the point.
saying who could we have appointed. I'm saying who can we now appoint, because we've messed up that Conte talk. So we can't talk about Conte like let's bring him in, when the talks aren't there to be had anymore, because that's like saying let's go light a Pochettino. Well, it's not going to happen. So what's the point of even mentioning him? If you take those people out of the conversation, see who is actually left right now that we could potentially appoint, who would we have? Because if Conte was still on the table, I don't think we would be looking at Fonseca. We'd probably still be in talks with Conte, if you know what I mean. So because we've butchered that, I think that's why we've now moved on to Fonseca.
And the other problem is as well, if you go back 10 years, there was an abundance of top-class managers in the game. But if you look now, once you get outside the top sort of 3 managers or top 5 managers, you're looking at managers that have little to no experience. So it almost becomes a difficult market to find the right person. And whoever we get in, if it's not one of those top 3 or 5 managers, then it is going to be an element of it's a gamble, because they've got, as I say, little to no experience, and the experience they have got are at either smaller clubs, or they might have had a season at a top club, but it's not panned out too well. And like you look at Zidane, you look at Pirlo, great players, but they've come in. Even Frank Lampard, great player, but he's come in, had a season that's not worked out, and this is where I'm coming from. So, like, who would you go for if one of the top 5 managers aren't on the table for whatever reason? Whoever you get outside that is.
See, this is the point. We've missed out.
David, just before you continue, sorry, I want to continue. I just want to apologise if the stream was going down. There was a little bit of internet connection problems there for myself, so whether or not it went dead, I'm not quite sure. But sorry about that. Viewers who are watching, sorry, David. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, like, this is the problem. At the time when we were looking for a new manager, you know, Real Madrid sacked Zidane. There was a couple of other managers around at the same time. You know, the thing is, there was managers there to go and get, and they didn't do it. And this is the point. We should never be at the point of appointing Fonseca, because there was a load of top-class managers around at the time that we could have went and get. And this is my point about ambition. And Mike, you were saying about expectations. We need to lower them. Well, why should we lower them when Daniel Levy built them up? Daniel Levy built them up by bringing in Jose Mourinho, not backing them. He built them up by putting the links out there with Pochettino and Conte to get season ticket sales over the line. He built them up by building the stadium and the training complex. Now, why should I have to lower my expectation when all he has done is just build them up, telling us this is what we're building for, this is what we're building for, and then let us down every time? It's like buying a mansion and putting a Nissan Micra in the garage. You just don't do it. It doesn't look right.
David, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but it's just, I suppose where I'm just coming from is I just see Tottenham in a completely different space right now to where we were when we were in the Champions League in that final. We're in a completely different space for whatever reasons, good and bad reasons. Well, it's predominantly all bad reasons, and that's where I'm just coming from my perspective. If I lower my expectations, and I'm not going to be disappointed, and the only outcome could be is if I am if Tottenham have a bad season, then they've done what I think could happen. If Fonseca does well, then he's exceeded my expectations, and it's only a bonus.
What does this mean for Harry Kane?
I don't get completely where David is. I completely agree with what David is. Why should we have our expectations lowered? But we are where we are, aren't we? Unfortunately, it's frustrating.
What does this mean for Harry Kane? What does this appointment, if it is, and I said we're most likely to have him appointed in the next few days, what does this mean for Harry Kane for this summer? Does it inspire him to think, oh yeah, this is the manager I want to work under. I want to stay here for this project, because it's going to be a project. Let's not get this twisted. Fonseca's not going to come in and turn us into top 4 with the players we've currently got. This is a rebuild job. However long that rebuild takes, whether we can do it within one summer, one transfer window, I doubt it. It's going to take several transfer windows. Is this going to inspire Harry Kane to stay? Is this going to inspire Son to sign a new contract? Is this going to make people like Ndombele think, you know what have I come here for? The players that we need going forward, are they going to be inspired by this as a choice of manager? I'll put it out there to all of you.
Yeah, I don't mind taking this. I think with Kane, I think it's not just about the manager, it's about the players that are coming in. And I think that if we're talking just solely manager, I think it only would have been Conte that would have kept him. Because I think Conte, it kind of comes with the assumption we're going to spend money, especially when we've got Paratiki in, I think he said is how it's pronounced. Especially when you kind of got Paratici, sorry. Yeah. When you got Paratici and Conte, you think, okay, cool, we're going to spend some money here. And I think that's the only thing that would have kept Kane, because he would have known, right, we kind of mean business, but it would have needed backup, like bringing in big name players. Like if we bring in Conte and then bring in Anderson at centre back, I don't think Kane's going to go, oh bloody hell, we're doing some serious business here. He would have needed some big name players. You talk about that interview with Gary Neville. He said how he'd love to play with De Bruyne. That's the type of players he wants to be putting himself around, not, oh, we've got Anderson, he could be a good centre-back in the future. We've got this player who could be good in a couple of years' time. He wants now.
Got Danny Ings coming in as well, potentially. Yeah, that's going to inspire Harry Kane, isn't it?
Yeah.
But all jokes aside, though, is how realistically, how many players do you think we're going to need to get out and then get in to make this work for this summer? I'm just talking about this summer, because I can't even look beyond this summer into next season, because I know this is going to be a rebuild. So this summer alone, how many players do we have to shift and then bring in to suddenly make us at least competing for the top 6, top 4? What do we think?
Got to be at least 5.
I was just about to say 5. I
think 5 is a realistic number, isn't it? I mean, we'd all like probably about 10 or 12 out, but for one, I mean, you can't get that number out and bring that number in and then start the season and just gelling and all that. Just won't happen.
Well, like you said, we've got a left back and a centre mid already that should be integrated into that team. So I don't think that we should be really investing in a left back and a centre mid. I think the right back has to be sorted out. A backup striker has to be sorted out. Another centre mid has to be sorted out. There's opportunities for players to be bought on a good deal. There's players like Sabitzer who have a year left on their contracts, who are very good players. But like David said, what's the reason for them wanting to come to Tottenham apart from a big pay package that we're probably not even going to pay them in the first place? We don't have the clout like a Juve, like an Arsenal have. You can still, do you know what I mean? Even if Arsenal were 8th place, bottom of the barrel, there's players like Eduardo Camavinga who looks up to Arsenal, who was an Arsenal fan, and he's a 17-year-old wonder kid. Bissouma wants to go to Arsenal. It's Arsenal who don't want Bissouma. They want to go after Ruben Neves. We don't really have that clout as a club and as a team to really do that. So it's
why not though, Darius? Because they're not even got European football this season.
Well, it's the history, isn't it? It's the history
and drives them all away because he's constantly negotiating with them.
But it's part of that is true, and the negotiations. Daniel Levy's always said that if there's a transfer bidding war, then he's not going to get involved. But at the end of the day, you can, like you said, you can improve the recruitment and find these gems before these other clubs find them. Like I said, Koopmeiners from AZ Alkmaar would have been a perfect centre mid for us to have. He's gone to Atalanta for 20 million euros now. And it's like these signings are available to be found. You just need the infrastructure to be able to make it.
The key here is we've got a director of football in. So, in theory, Levy shouldn't be involved in these discussions.
Well, this is why I need to see this transfer window. Like I said, the outgoings are the most important thing for me, but also bringing in, like you said, adequate players. Because Kane, me personally, I don't think Kane's going anywhere. I think he's trapped. It's like jail. You 3 years on your contract. You can't go nowhere. Like, at the end of the day, that's on you for signing a 6-year contract. I don't feel bad for
a 6-year contract.
I don't feel bad for the guy for signing a 6-year contract, and then when it goes to shit, you want to book out. That's on you. But in terms of getting money for him, if he stays a year with Fonseca, it goes to shit. He has to go next year because he has 2 years left. So it's like, even if it goes to shit, Harry Kane's still going to go. So you're still going to have to, do you know what I mean? Think about replacing. This rebuild is inevitable. And that's why I can kind of understand why David's angry, because is Fonseca the right guy for this inevitable rebuild, which is the most important. And like I said, this was the most important managerial decision of our modern history, and it's Paulo Fonseca. So I can see the disappointment.
So I'm going to come to. Let me just come to Shai and ask a bit of a question. So, do you think, because obviously the director of football, I think in general, and I can say this for the fan base, most of us wanted Daniel Levy away from football-related matters. We wanted the director of football in. The director of football is obviously the one who's now keen in making this appointment, but he must be under some constraints. What I mean by that is, Daniel Levy must have said to him, right, you can get any manager you like, but we can only afford to pay him X millions of pounds a year. So maybe this is the choice. He's right, okay, I can't get Conte because I'm not allowed to spend 17 million a year. He may have been given a budget of 10 million a year for this particular manager. Do you think that might be something that's going to hamper us going forward? Because again, we're surmising here that we're saying the director of football is the one who's making the decisions, but he must be under some sort of constraint in terms of how much he can spend as such on this manager.
Well, I think it's been said many a time that all the directors of football that have worked for Spurs have found it hard under the constraints that have been given to them, whether it's been Baldini, Arneson, whoever. So every director of football has said it's not an easy job. I mean, the director of football can only work to the remit that obviously Levy's going to give him. So your hands are tied to an extent, aren't they? There's nothing he can do about it. He's just got to be very clever in how he works, I guess. And again, it's just one of those where, you know, if you can throw lots of money at it, you're going to get better quality. But if you can't, I mean, I'll go back to, I still don't quite understand why we couldn't get a Campos or a Ragnarok. Because I would have preferred.
That's my thing. Again, it fits our model so much more, doesn't it, Shai?
Yeah,
fits our model so much more.
Campos would have been perfect.
Yeah, Sam said earlier, I remember it on another stream, that I get Paratici, now I'm getting it wrong now, Paratici. I get that if Conte was coming, but if as a partnership that would make sense. But then a Campos or a Ragnarok, I think, would have fitted the club
100%. 100%.
Let me just come to a few comments because we've got so many comments coming through. So apologies for not having been able to read them, but I hope most of them have been shown on here. We've got this one. Had Jose gotten Skriniar like he wanted, the discussion wouldn't be happening. That's from Michael here. Spot on, Levy is a common denominator in all this. So a lot of people are saying that Levy has still got his fingers all over this. Hit that like button. Thank you very much. Another comment here. If Poch is appointed previously, he came from a mid-table side, and look what happened. Let's give Fonseca a chance. If nothing else, he can keep the seat warm for Poch's return in 2 years. What's your thoughts on that, David?
Yeah, on that, look, you can't compare Fonseca and Pochettino. Yeah. Pochettino took over what was more or less a newly promoted Southampton team, and he had them up there challenging with the big boys and fell off towards the end of the season. The promise was there under Pochettino. He had, look what he'd done at Southampton. A club like Southampton, he had them on the brink of Europe. You cannot compare Pochettino to Fonseca. Fonseca's manager is Shakhtar Donetsk, which are shit in terms of European football. Porto, shit in terms of European football. Braga, shit in terms of European football. You cannot compare the two. I love Philip. I like Philip. You know, I know Philip, but honestly, that's ludicrous. I can't have people comparing Pochettino and Fonseca, because what Pochettino done for Southampton, he's also done it in the Premier League. Fonseca hasn't. So he's gone to Porto, where he's expected to win the league. He's gone to Shakhtar, where you're expected to win the league. Let's be honest about it. You know, they have one of the biggest budgets in Ukraine. Porto have one of the biggest budgets in Portugal. You know, and for me, I don't think you can compare the two. I genuinely don't think you can compare the two.
I'll just come back to this other comment. Thank you for watching, Danny the Bun. We like to see you on these streams. Danny Livery is lowering our expectation by his decision making. He is using the money elsewhere to improve the infrastructure, like an effing golf course, which we've seen. A nice golf course, by the way. But
I've played there enough times. It's a nice golf course. White whips.
Is that meant to be the teaser for Bale, the taster for Bale to come back? Give him a golf course right next to the training stadium.
Well, I think they've seen the interview with G Nev as well and said this is a way to get Kane and Bale to potentially stay, isn't it?
There'll be a lot of deals made on that golf course, won't there? Good or bad.
So we've got another comment here. No way, man. Kane is off, and we need to use the pounds for a whole rebuild and get rid of the dead wood.
Kane's trapped. There's no way Kane's going. Kane's trapped, bro. And if they pay 150, then go. Like if they pay 150, then I'll take the 150. But the guy's trapped. I can't see him leaving this season. I really can't.
Wasn't Sancho? Wasn't he recently valued at 100 mil?
Well, Sancho apparently don't want 95 million euros.
95, right. So if he's worth 95, then surely Kane's worth more than 150 on that basis.
Well, he's been sold to 150. They're not going to get more than 150 for him. No one's going to pay more than 150 for Harry Kane, who's 28 years of age.
Guys, can you see Harry Kane putting a transfer request in?
No, I really can't.
I can.
Do you know what? I don't think he would this transfer window, but I think he will at the end of next season, because this is the thing. Who have we got coming? Like we're not going to bring in a top manager. We're not going to bring in massive names. So it's only going to get worse for him from this point. So I think by the end of this season, he probably will.
There's this comment here from Shane Black. Kane has already put in a transfer, which again we're surmising. I 100% agree. I think he will. I personally believe after the Euros.
What's that going to do?
Well, it's going
Genuinely,
to force someone's hand. It's going to make people aware
How?
that he's unhappy. I think a lot of the teams are aware that he's unhappy. There's only a certain number of teams that's going to be in for Harry Kane. We're talking about the likes of Man City here in the Premier League. We could talk about Chelsea, but I don't think I wanted to see
Chelsea aren't going to get him. They
at
want
all.
Haaland. PSG already spent their money. It's only Man City, really.
Talking about Manchester United, they could potentially do it if they really wanted to stump up
They're
that
getting
sort of
Sancho.
cash. But they're not going to. They're not. You're right. They're not going to do Sancho and they're not going to do Harry Kane at the same time. We've got PSG on the radar. Who else is out there?
PSG is signing Wijnaldum, Donnarumma, Hakimi. They already make the only team that Harry Kane can go to is Manchester City. There's no other club.
This could be a way of forcing it. Like I said, I don't think he's going to do anything during the Euros. I don't think we'll hear anything from Harry Kane until after the Euros is finished. But from that point, if he's not happy, I cannot see him just saying, "Okay, I'm just going to stay here for another 2 years." Being held.
I don't know what handing a transfer request is going to do. You have 3 years.
What it does, it shows his ambition is not to stay with Spurs because he could stay quiet.
The guy did an hour-long interview and he's basically said that he don't want to be it. Like we all know that he doesn't want to be it. That's an elephant
more or
in
less
the room.
his transfer request, though, wasn't it?
That is, and that's what I'm saying.
Do you know what I mean? It's an elephant in a room. Like we know that's going to happen.
What he was doing in that interview, he wasn't directly because if you see, there was no direct quotes that said, "I want to leave Spurs." When you put in a transfer request, that says, "I want to leave Spurs." That's the difference. An interview with Gary Neville directing certain questions, it's they put that together. You can see that. But he never once said, "I want to leave Spurs." He said, if you don't match my ambition, then I've got to think about it and I've got to have conversations with Daniel Levy. But no way did he say he wants. If you go and say, "Daniel, here you go, that's my transfer request," he's saying, "I want out and I want out now." That's a whole game changer right there. That's
Levy will laugh at him. He'll just say, "You're not going nowhere, mate. Like I'm getting 150 or you're not going anywhere."
Do you know what? I agree.
150.
I agree with both yous in a sense, but like I said already, I think my thoughts are like it's kind of in between. He'll probably put. I think he will put in a transfer request because he will just want out. It'll get to a point where he just thinks this is the only thing I can do to realistically get a move. And I don't think he'll be sold this season. I think he'll be held hostage this season, so we can potentially try and get rid of or try and rebuild. And then next season in the transfer window is when we'll sell him because he'll be 29 then, and it's kind of like
2 years left.
He's already put in a transfer request. Yeah. He's got 2 years. Let's just cash in the most money we can while we still can. I think that's realistic.
And from our perspective right now, that's the most sensible thing for Top.
But will we still be able to get potentially now, if someone offered 150 now because he's got, he's younger, obviously, than he would be next year. 3 years on his contract, blah, blah, blah. He gets to next year. He's 29. He has a bit more of an injury-prone season left. Are we going to expect then someone to pay 150 million for him? I don't think that's going to be the case. Then he really is trapped because he's then going to have to play. But we've got an unhappy player. The problem being, when you've got an unhappy player, regardless whether they come out publicly and say it, you will see that in their performances. I don't care what professionalism you've got. You are never going to play to that same level if you're not wanting to stay.
I disagree, Shane, because you've got the World Cup next year.
Yeah.
So he's not going to want to jeopardise his place in the World Cup, especially when you've
personally,
got
I don't think that has any.
now.
I don't think. Go on. Sorry for interrupting.
I was just going to say, I don't think that he will want to jeopardise his place in the England World Cup squad just because there's a lot of young, talented strikers that are coming up who could easily. Any England manager could be like, "Well, you haven't played enough, Kane, but we've got 4 or 5 youngsters here that are more than capable of putting the ball in the back of the net on the World Cup stage."
We're also forgetting that Son's not signed his contract yet, and he's got 2 years left on his deal. So the situation I'm more scared about is what Son's doing in the summer, because there's 2 years left on his deal. If he doesn't sign it, if he does sign it, which again people have been saying it's imminent for the past 6 months now, so. I don't know what imminent means in terms of that, but if he does not sign a contract deal, which I don't know if there's any, I don't know. It depends how much he loves the club, really. Because if I'm Son, I'm not signing a new deal now. Because if I sign a new deal, then I'm committing the rest of my career to Tottenham. For me, if Son doesn't sign a deal, then you're going to have to try and think about selling Son. And I know that sounds crazy to think about, but he's got a year less than Kane. So the situation could be really, 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 really bad before he gets good. And that's why I believe that Daniel Levy will not sell Kane at all this season, because he still has to sort out this Son issue before Kane gets sorted out.
And that's why the summer's going to be mad. This summer's
going to be madness. It's going to be madness.
Yeah, it is. And I kind of feel sorry for Fonseca to a certain degree, because he's coming into a world of trouble here.
Can I actually even just touch back on Fonseca, right? Because I think what we've all said is we need to basically we are in a rebuild, and our two best players are potentially going out the door within the next kind of year, 2 years, latest. Unless Son signs a new deal, but if Kane's going, then I don't know whether he'll follow his kind of pursuit. I think potentially, realistically, why Fonseca is being brought in is because we weren't able to get these top names in. So it's a case of who can we bring in who can we bring in still who is willing to join us? Because you could say Gasperini or Gaultier, but Gaultier's gone to Nice now, has he?
He's gone to Nice now, yeah.
Yeah, so that's already a done deal, so he's off the table. You know, there's Gasperini, but he's staying at Atalanta. Why would he want to come from Champions League football to us? Doesn't make sense.
They own a good thing, yeah.
Yeah, so I think when we look at, like, who do we have that would want to come to us, who can come to us, and will try and help us turn it around, I think Fonseca's still probably one of the best choices. Not the best, but one of the better choices. Yeah. I think even if you look at Passos de Ferreira, took them from being relegation threatened to Champions League and third place, and the next season when he moved to Porto, they got relegated and they finished dead last. They finished dead last, most goals conceded, least goals scored, lowest points. You know, and I think that even Shakhtar, like I said before, they hadn't won the league title in 2 years. They hadn't won the cup in 3 years. He came in and won the double all 3 years. So I think, you know, Paratici has looked at him in his time at Italy and probably seen something in him and what he's done prior that could say, right, at least this guy can maybe come in.
Potential man management.
Potential man management, but just stop us from coming in and being on a massive, massive decline while we're trying to rebuild. I think it's maybe we aren't going to sign a top-class manager now, but if we can just get this guy to maybe keep the ship afloat a little bit, and then we can bring in someone world class. I don't think
we've got hands up in the house. We've got hands up in the house, and we'll have to go to Mr. Irish Hotspur. Go ahead.
Look, Kieran, you know I love you. I think you're a very, very intelligent guy. But honestly, I cannot buy into this. We couldn't get a top manager over the line. If we didn't pump money into the new adventure on the Skywalk, right? If we're not pumping money into getting planning permission and build a new golf course, that money could have went to a new manager. We could have done it. We could have done it. We chose not to do it. And that's the problem. That is the problem. Daniel Levy has stopped us from getting in a top manager. The guy's pockets is tighter than a duck's arse. Not that I know how tight that is, but, you know, it's tighter than a duck's arse. And honestly, right, this is the problem. A new adventure onto the Skywalk. We have, planning permissions and uproar with Enfield Council at the minute about a golf course and everything else. Cut that crap. Focus on the immediate situation, which is the team and the management situation. Get that in place. Get us into a position where we're challenging again. And then you can go and do your golf course. Then you can add the new adventure to the Skywalk. But use that money to put into a new manager. I'm sorry. I'm not buying into this crap that we can't get in a new we couldn't get in a top class manager and everything else. Because if we concentrate on what we should be concentrating, first and foremost, which is a football club that plays football or supposedly tries to play football, well then stop with all that side shit, put that money in, and we would have had a Conte, we would have had a Pochettino, we would have had a Ten Hag, we would have had a top manager. And this is the problem. I'm not buying into this stuff that, you know, he's the only guy that would have came in. We had top managers at the negotiation table. If we put the money in where it should be going, which is football first, then we wouldn't be in this situation right now.
Kieran, what do you want to say?
Yeah, can I just say, I think there's maybe a bit of like cross wires between what I'm saying and how you've taken it. I'm not saying, well, I think Fonseca's good. We, potentially could have got him because we never would have got Conte or anyone like that. If we could have got Ten Hag, Conte, Pochettino, any of these managers, I would have taken them over Fonseca in a heartbeat, and I still would. But I think what I'm trying to say now is that, that is something that we should have gone for, like you said. We should have committed to that and given Conte what he wanted, bringing someone like him. But what I'm saying is now you look at all these deals, we've negotiated with these people and it's like it seems like it's constantly not happening or they're just not willing to accept deal. And I'm saying like now, as in like right now, today, what is out there. I'm not saying like what was out there at the beginning, because if that's what we're talking about, I agree 100% with you. I'm just saying like that point. Today.
Sorry, Ken, I want to come to that, and I want to ask all of you your opinions. And let's say this doesn't happen for whatever reason, this Fonseca deal doesn't happen. Let's cross Conte off the list. Let's cross Poch off the list. Let's cross Ten Hag off the list. Because I don't believe any of them are coming. Of the rest of them that we're being talked about, we're being linked to, who the F is there left? Who would you want to see if it's not Fonseca? And I'm going to come to all of you. Mike first. You were last time, so you're first this time. Who would you want to see?
I will put you forward. I will, and I promise you this: I will put your CV forward for the Tottenham job. You've got you've got the experience and knowledge. I'll put you in for it. I don't think you could probably do any worse than some of the names that have been bandied about outside the sort of top 5. I mean, yeah, I'll put your name forward for it. I honestly, outside the names that we've mentioned, would anyone be happy with Graham Potter? Would anyone be happy with Scott Parker? Would anyone be happy with
Ryan Mason?
You got Zidane is still floating around. Why are we mentioning names about Scott Parker and
I wouldn't take Zidane.
I don't rate Zidane one bit.
I actually don't rate him either.
We'll let you all get your little say.
Three Champions Leagues.
That's Ronaldo. That's Ronaldo, mate.
Yeah,
we'll let you all have your say, Darius. I'll let David. I'll come to you. Don't worry, you're going to get your say too. Darius, you're next.
Managers. Oh God.
It's painful. I think
NG23 had a comment about sort of, you don't have to play all defensive football. You don't have to play completely attacking football. There's a balance that needs to be made. And the person who I look to and think that was the perfect balance was Thomas Tuchel. He found a system and it worked for Chelsea. Obviously, he had the players and everything. For me, the manager that reminds me similar to that and that can sort of play in both styles of football is probably Christophe Galtier. He's now gone to Nice, so it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. But he seemed like he had a system that worked. He played 4-4-2, but it was they pressed in triangles, and they also defended very rigidly, and that's why they won the league, because they were so solid defensively. So if it was anybody, I would have probably gone for Gaultier. But again, there is genuinely no manager out there for me that can really, apart from the 3 that I had mentioned and has gone, and that's why it makes you so angry, because we were linked with all 3 of them, Ten Hag, Poch and Conte. It doesn't really seem like any manager that can perfectly fit a bill for Tottenham, and unfortunately, we are now just left with Dross. It is Dross. It's underwhelming, but like Kieran said, it's like what else? I genuinely can't think of anything else.
I wouldn't say they're Dross. I'd say that what the key thing is, they're inexperienced.
Okay, yeah, I take that back. It's not Dross, but it's compared to who we were linked with. We were linked with, it's Dross. At the end of the day, and somebody else made a comment earlier that apparently he was only on 2.5 million euros a year. So it's like, when you add all these things up, it just seems like the cheaper option, a stopgap for somebody. And again, maybe that might be a good thing. Maybe not panicking and signing a manager who we think might be the right decision is the better option, and maybe waiting for a manager to come on the market in 2 years' time. I don't know. I don't know anymore with this team. So I've seen that Nuno is in talks with Everton, actually. I saw that comment just come up. I think Nuno's going to Everton.
Nuno, I've said it before. Nuno, no. Kieran, I'll come to you. Who's your inspiration if it's not Fonseca?
I would have gone for Gaultier. Like, if he's willing to go from winning the title to join Nice, he would have come to us. I think Danny's saying in chat that the talks have stalled between them. And if that's true, then I would probably still go in for him. I don't know, to be honest. There's not, like you guys were saying earlier, there's the top managers, and then there's everyone else is just kind of a big mix beneath. I'd probably take Gaultier. I wouldn't take Zidane, though. I think he manages big players. Like, if you look since Ronaldo's left, what have Madrid really done? You know, they haven't really done anything. I think that's kind of his forte.
And he butchered that squad as well. He sold a lot of good players.
Well, as well, if you were talking about context for if we're talking about context for Fonseca and what happened at Roma, why not talk about context and what happened to Zidane at Real Madrid? They don't have the money; they're broke. So if you're going to put context in the situation, put context in the situation for everybody. And
they're still spending 150 million on Hazard. That's the problem. Yeah. They're at fault for their reason, because they sold players.
But that's Zidane's fault, though. You made this excuse for Fonseca earlier on. So if you're going to use context for Fonseca, use context for Zidane. Real
That's
Madrid
what I mean.
they're an agent,
Zidane
so
got rid
there's
of
nothing to do
Hakimi.
about
Zidane
it.
got rid of Hakimi. Zidane got rid of Reguilon. He didn't want to play those players. He sent Odegaard on loan. So at the end of the day, Zidane kept to the old guard that he trusted. And at the end of the day, they didn't back him because they were getting old. And that's why I've got a problem with Zidane, because he could have developed that squad into a decent squad. They've got good players in that Real Madrid squad. Do not get it twisted. But he wanted to rely on that old guard to the point where they let him down. And now, at the end of the day, he sold all these players on loan. Bale's let him down. Odegaard he's sent on loan. And now he's in a situation where he's left because they haven't won anything. So I understand what you mean, David.
They're still looking to sell Odegaard now today. So that's not on Zidane. They're still looking to sell Odegaard today.
I'm just going
to. The likes of Hakimi. They had Carvial at right back. He's never going to get in. The kid was only 18. You know what I mean? Reguilon. Let's be honest. He's great going forward, but is he as defensively as sound as Zidane would like at Real Madrid? No, he's not at Madrid's level. So you can argue that he got that right.
I'm going to come to you then. I want your thoughts then as to if it's not Fonseca, who do you want to see in?
Me, look, there's Zidane. You go all out for Brendan Rodgers from Leicester. Gaultier, if that deal is stalled, you can go for him. We could have also ran Carlo Ancelotti and try and brought him in from Everton. There's a lot of options we could have done. There's still a lot of options out there. Lopetegui from Sevilla. There's still a lot of options out there. Honestly, Fonseca, it's so underwhelming. It's so disappointing. This idea and this notion that there's still not great managers out there. I'm not buying into either.
Ancelotti would have been a good shout. Ancelotti's a good shout.
But the Sevilla manager, haven't Sevilla just got into Champions League?
Yeah.
So why he's not going to leave that? Why would he? He'd be mad in my eyes.
It's the ambition, though, isn't it? Like you said, it's not the fact that they don't want to pay a compensation fee or any of that. That's my issue. It's sort of like,
look, we're at a stage in football where money speaks. You put the money, you will get anybody. Money talks in football nowadays, and this is what people need to wake up and realize. Money talks. You put the money on the table, you will get anybody you want.
I agree with that, David. I think if you slap 20 million in front of someone like Conte, regardless of what he says in the press, he's coming to Spurs because he's not going to get that sort of money. Because all it means is he'll do the 6 months and it can be proven. He said, well, look, Jose came in, he couldn't do nothing. I tried the same thing. I couldn't do nothing. I'll move on. And the next place he would then go to, you get a payoff and you'll probably do really well because he is a top level manager. But he's a top level manager that does rely on having a number of pound coins given to him to exploit that into the transfer market. And I don't see that happening. I want to come to Shive in your comment in terms of who you would like to see if it's not going to be our friend or your brother, should I say, Fonseca.
Well, you know what? I was kind of thinking I'd go with the double act of Darius and David, to be honest with you. Because
I would love that. I would absolutely love
Darius
that.
would be good.
Good cut back up.
And I think David would be a great motivational speaker in the changing room. Definitely. I think
David hounds him out, and I'll console him. I'm on the back.
So many asses in that changing room, boy. They're getting slapped up proper.
I was going to be a player.
David, I'll get on the phone to Levy. Don't worry, we'll sort that out.
Darius and David are doing that as a combination. That's lethal. That's lethal. Right there. Go on, carry on.
No, I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure with the availability of certain players. I mean, yes.
Eddie Howe?
No.
Eddie Howe's got more experience in the league than flipping Fonseca, so it's like...
That is true, but no. I mean, I always said Eddie Howe, Gareth Southgate would not do it for me, for Spurs, personally. Tell you what, Gaultier wouldn't have been a bad shout, to be fair, considering what he's done. That wouldn't have been a bad shout. But other than that, I've got to be honest. I'm really not sure, Sam. I'm really not sure.
Ed M here watching. Thank you for watching, Ed. Marcelo Gallardo was always my first pick. If the manager's out of a job, I'd probably have picked Rudy Garcia.
He's actually on Rudy Garcia, wasn't he? I'm not sure about that one, but it's like Fonseca to me, that one.
I'll just go through a couple of these comments because we've had loads of comments come through. Apologies if I was never going to be able to read all of them out, but I'm going to try my best to read some of them out. The thing is, Levy usually intentionally screws things up. Guys, Gaultier has not signed for Nice. Talks have stalled. So again, another rabbit could come out of the hat. Fonseca, only 2.5 million per year for Fonseca is getting. It seems to me like Paratisi is not I can't even say his name anymore. Forget it. Whatever. Is convinced. Plus 2 years of Fonseca. You must be thinking I'm here till Poch is free. And again, with cynics, we would say that. So more comments here. People agreeing with each other. I think Gaultier's football is so easily worked out. So this is a very
PSG to a league, though.
One Touch TV, thank you for watching Nigerian Englishman. Look, you need to rebuild. Poch got you the most out of your squad. They are maxed out. You need a new cycle. You should go for the Norwich manager, and he can bring in a couple of his players with him. What, that Fout? What's his name? Falcon.
He's a
Daniel
gooner.
Farker.
Don't fall for it. He's a
Farker.
gooner. He's just
He
trolling.
can, you know what?
Don't give
You
him
know
a
what?
time of day. Don't
You
give him
know
a time
what
of
we're
day.
going to do, don't you? We're going to say to
does
you,
know.
One Touch, you can
dear.
fuck off. You can fuck off, mate. You can fuck off. Surely. Not having none of that. Not having no trolls like that on here. Come on. That's just
Especially from a.
Wait, did Watford get promoted? I can't remember if they did.
Yeah, they did.
They did get promoted. Okay, cool,
yeah.
cool.
They
We'll
finished
be
second.
playing Danny Rose next season. That's great,
I
isn't it?
love it.
Oh, this is going to be great then, isn't it?
Ben Foster's going to have his little camera in goal when they beat us as well, doing match day vlogs.
Yeah.
My neighbours on strings.
Oh no!
I'm going to come. Because we're going to wrap this up. I want to come quickly, just a bit of a sentence. I know we've kind of touched on it already, but just to end the show, I'll start with you, Mike. Fonseca, yes or no?
Oh man, what a question this is!
I do it all the time. This is what I'm
By
here
dragging
for.
it out, he
This
means
is what
no.
I'm here for. What do you expect?
I want to
Come
say he's not in yet, so I'm gonna just. Oh, I don't even know. No, I'm going no because he's not in yet. So hopefully no. I'm uninspired.
on. Okay, Darius.
But
Yes or no?
No. Let's be honest. Like, if you had said at the start of the window or when Jose got sacked, Paulo Fonseca, like David said, a lot of us would have gone, who, mate? Paulo Fonseca. So I can't be a hypocrite after watching a couple videos on YouTube and compilations say that he's the right guy for Spurs. So he's not, but I will give him a chance, and I will probably enjoy watching the football more. But how far does that go when you've got moon boots at the back still? So yeah.
hopefully Roma buy him.
Kieran.
Bought Xhaka. They bought Xhaka, so I've got hope.
Fonseca, yes or no?
Going to give a quick, long-winded answer. Is it the best manager we could have brought in? No. Is he the best manager we can bring in? No. But I would probably say no because there are still better options out there. But if he came in, I'm still going to back him, and I think we'd probably be a little bit happier seeing a bit better football. But like Darius said, that only goes so far, and I think the main priority is more rebuilding and getting out players and getting better ones in.
Okay, fair dues. David, I think I know what the answer is, but anyway, I'm still going to ask you the same question. I'm still going to have to ask it. Yeah, is it a yes or no from you?
First of all, I want to say, Darius, send me on them YouTube links. It looks like I'm going to have to get used to the idea, but no. Next.
Oh man.
So I'm taking it's a no then, David, from you. It's a no from you.
Oh, it's a big fat no. Yeah. Couldn't be any louder.
It's a big fat no from David, as they do on the old X Factor, whatever shows they do where they say no's to people. Shy, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I tell you what, me and Darius think a lot alike, I have to say, because most of the time he says it and then it's like, oh yeah, I thought that too. So I'm going to have to go, with Darius. I think no, but you've got to give the guy a chance and hope for the best. That's all I can say really on it.
Like I said, we had a year of Jose, 18 months of Jose football. I'm not going to say that he did get done dirty at the end of the year and he could have won us a trophy.
If he brings...
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything else. Can
I just quickly touch on that?
If he brings back our style of our identity of attacking football, then he's halfway there.
Listen,
Well, do you know what I was going to say? I think if we got Skriniar in that January window when we were crying out for a centre-back, we wouldn't even be in this position in the first place.
Yeah,
and now we've sacked Jose. Now we haven't landed Conte or any of these other big managers, and we're staring at Fonseca, who, he's going to bring us attacking football potentially. He might be halfway there already. But the common denominator there is Levy. And I'm not trying to push necessarily, Levy out, right? But he is the common denominator between all of those. If managers were backed and we went all out for these managers, we wouldn't be sitting here complaining about Fonseca. And so I think Paratici is a massive thing if he is actually going to get footballing decisions, because maybe he'll just be told, this is your budget. And it's just a case of Daniel Levy signing off on on players after that. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah.
Apologies, wasn't laughing at you. It was laughing at this comment.
No, I know. Yeah,
Danny's he's making me laugh. 18 months of free flowing losing football. Potentially,
is the seatbelt's still in? I'm not even taking the seatbelt off from the Jose days. It's the seatbelt's still on.
We're doing all of this, and he's not signed. And this is what I'm saying. I don't know whether or not the Spurs hierarchy are doing this purposely to actually see what sort of comments are coming from the fan base, because it seems to be that they're very reactive now to what the fans are saying, particularly online and stuff. So if this guy was going to sign and it's all night, why hasn't he not signed yet? I don't see what the problem is.
Exactly, especially when it says, "Oh yeah, it's 99% done." Well, that 1% getting over the line is taking a hell of a long time, isn't it?
It's taken a hell of a long time, and to me, that does give some sort of doubt as to whether or not. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. But why not make the announcement now? We've been told we want to get it done before the Euros. We've been told we want to get it as soon as possible. It's been 50-odd days since Jose was sacked. We need to get a manager in. We need someone who's preparing for pre-season. We need him to get involved in the club, know the players that he's got to work with, start thinking about transfers. All of this shit, and he's not actually in a job yet. Yeah. We're still surmising, which doesn't make sense.
When's the first pre-season game? Is it 10 weeks?
No idea.
Probably end of July.
Not that long.
Or it could be earlier than that.
It's not going to be 10 weeks.
What are we now? Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be sometime in July. So July's going to be like 3 weeks away. So do you know what I mean? There's a lot of work to be done.
Is the season being delayed, or is it still kicking off at the same time? Because we've got the World Cup in the week.
14th of August.
14th of August it starts.
Yeah. Okay.
Breaking news from Brian Daigle. In less than 18 months, we'll be talking about the hunt for another new manager. Eka Spurs, well done, Paxton Road TV. Great show. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button, everybody. Please hit that like button if you're watching. Thank you very much. Just the last few comments here. Levy must be trolling us. No one can be that incompetent. Oh, yes, he can. My bad. Can't interrupt Levy's holiday seeing Uncle Joe, can we? Because he's on holiday in the Bahamas at the moment. I believe those two are. Brian Daigle, you're giving it that long. So people are not inspired. We can obviously see that this is not currently an inspirational choice. But I'm with the same thing that Darius has said. I'm going to back this manager for as long as he needs to be backed. But I want to see a little bit more information coming out of the club. What is it we're looking to do? Who are we looking to bring in? What style of football we're looking to play? Can we do this style of football with the players we've got? Who's going out? Is Harry Kane staying? There's so many answers. There's so many questions, but we need answers for. I just don't know whether we're going to get all these answers in the next few weeks. And it might play out over a period of time. It's whether or not we're going to be patient enough for this to play out.
Sam, the thing is, you know what happened? The answers are already kind of there, because he's only getting a 2-year contract. It's not a rebuild. Because if it's a rebuild and you fully commit to the rebuild and you give him time to implement his attacking style of football, so okay, we bring in players from this season. It's not going to fix the problems at Tottenham. It's not going to be able to be exactly the way he wants to play. We're going to have to give him another transfer window after that. But then he's 1 year left on his contract. So it's not really, the answers are already there, in my opinion.
Well, it's actually a 3-year contract, but the third year is optional.
No, it's 2 years. It's an option for Spurs to trigger it after the third.
Yeah. So I think that's
the second year.
But what I'm trying to say is I think that's a way of them going, it's 3 years if we want it, but if it isn't working out because it's gone tits up, we're paying less. It's another kind of Levy one. Those cheaping out on the contract. If you have
I get that, but it's not exactly inspiring though for the manager though.
Yeah.
Like if you're the manager, like if you put yourself in Fonseca's position, you would rather the 5-year contract, knowing that they're going to commit to your way, and over the 5 years, as long as there's progress season on season, that they're going to keep backing you and keep helping you do what you need to do. But when it's a 2-year contract, he's trying to minimize everything within 2 years. So does he go balls deep at the start and fuck it up, or does he do it gradually? This is the thing. They're not exactly giving him a chance to shine either right now. So in my opinion, I think the answers are already there. If they're only giving him a 2-year contract with an option of see how it goes and we'll extend it for another year, they're not exactly inspired by it either, are they?
You know what will happen after this show? There'll be a new manager. The talks break down.
I just want to watch the Euros.
I know who I want. I've already got my management team. They're on the panel here. David Darius combination. That's got to be, for me,
every Saturday we've done a show. The following day, it's been a new manager. Talks are broken down and we've gone in for another manager. That's what will happen after this.
It's all sorted anyway. We're there or thereabouts. Guys who are watching out there, thank you for watching. Really, really appreciate it. I do apologize if there was some interruptions in the stream during this live stream, but as it's live, these things can happen. But I hope it didn't spoil your viewing of the show. It's been a really, really good show. Thank you very much for all your comments. It's been absolutely fantastic. I apologize if I didn't get to everybody's because they were just like appearing out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere. And they're still appearing. I'll just come to the last few before we say goodbye. So we've got Levy will select himself as manager. Don't think we can end the show without having Mr. Bagel on. Then do you know what? You go over here, AZP, and let's do it. We can take his yacht, signs a club to us, and then we change everything. So they want to kidnap Levy and basically do away with him. That's what them lot want to do. Danny involved. I'm sure they'll find him. If they can find him, Mr. Levy, I would stay in hiding if I were you, because this lot are going to take you out with professional hitmen. Guys, Mike-Hotspur Hustler, Darius, Kieran, the Irish Hotspur, and Shai, thank you very, very much. It's been absolutely fantastic. Wow. I will say let's do this again, but I don't know if I've got the energy to do this again. I really don't know if I can do this again. This has been like really draining, but it's been a really good show. This is the Tottenham effect. It really is the Tottenham effect. And you're not lying there, Kieran, at all. But guys, at home, again, just last thing again, thank you all very much for watching. Leave comments after the show as well. And just keep sharing, keep subscribing. These guys as well. Sorry, I should come down to you, Phil. I'm not going to do that I'm going to do that before we go. Kieran, let's start with you. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Let's_talk_Spurs, or you can find me on YouTube at Let's Talk Spurs. I won't take too much time up because I know the Euros just about to start, so I'll let David or whoever else promote the channel now.
Mr. Irish Hotspur, I'm going to call you Mr. Irish Hotspur as Sid did when he started the show. Mr. Irish Hotspur is your new name from me now. Where can people find you?
Yeah, the Irish Hotspur on YouTube. I have a show coming out at 3. I think I'm going to move it to 3:30 now. It's the Irish Hotspur and Jack's, guide to the Euros. So we're going to be doing a bit of Euro content, back to Spurs content tomorrow. You can catch me on a watch along on We Are Tottenham TV later on at 8 o'clock for the Belgium and Russia game. I just want to say, everyone, get over to Kieran, show him the same support and the love that you've showed. Myself. Tottenham away, Paxton Road. Get over and help Kieran. Get over, make sure you smash and subscribe on his channel and help him along his way. But also, Paxton, you guys know I love coming on this channel. It's always good banter. We're always sitting here with smiles. And everybody, I can't stress this enough. Smash that like on Paxton Road TV. It's a great channel. I always have great fun coming on here. That's why whenever they ask me, I'm always straight away here. I love it. And also, of course, Chai from Tottenham away, Brian Daigle in the comments. Great representatives for the channel. Make sure you smash and subscribe on them. And then after that, if your fingers aren't too tired, come over and help me go on the journey to 4K and smash that subscribe button.
There we go. Like I said, promotion for everybody. He brings everybody in.
That's my assistant manager right there. That's
who said you're going to be managing? I thought David was.
No, it's a co-partnership. Assistant as in co-manager. Co-manager.
I'm going to come to Shai. Where can people find you?
Right, I hope you don't mind this because I've got to do this because this was hilarious last night. So Tottenham away on YouTube. Last night we did a show on Fonseca actually, and if you can watch that show from last night and go to 2 hours 20 minutes 45 seconds, I believe, because I've watched it that many times now since last night, you will see Stell call Will Smith by accident, and then Will Stewart then turns into a rapper and starts rapping nursery rhymes, which is absolutely hilarious. So if you get a chance to go and watch that later,
2:20:45, Shai. 2:20:45, right?
2 hours 45. 2 hours 20:45 seconds.
Yeah, got that.
I'm gonna have a look.
It's the funniest thing you have ever seen. It is absolutely hilarious. Will
check that out.
Nursery rhyme rapping. Fantastic.
Go and check that out, everybody who's watching. It's been really good. Thank you again. Guys, it's been fantastic. We will do this again very soon. We're going to be out then, so take care. Enjoy the Euros.